Hi, and welcome to the latest episode of Freeworld News Roundup. Just want to start off by saying a huge congratulations to our Brazil's Nut trader Elsa, who's just had a baby boy called Noah. So we wish her and her husband Benji huge congratulations, and we hope to see them and the baby in the office in the foreseeable future. So that's great, isn't it? What a beautiful
fantastic
name Noah is.
Yeah, good choice of name.
And we just want to also say sorry about last week. There was no news roundup, but we're going to pack in with a good informative episode this week. So just want to start off by asking you a bit about what's happening in the market with relation to the euro.
Well, the euro is volatile, the pound is volatile, the dollar is volatile, so we've got huge variations every day, 1 or 2 cents up and down, and that's really about the only thing we know about the currencies, that we are all expecting a long period of volatility, in the sense that we don't know whether it'll go up or down, but we do know that it's going to move around like crazy. So its impacts on a lot of other commodities that we sell. It's difficult, as we saw last week, we had a huge almond shipment figure, and at the same time these big movements in the euro just are kind of making it very hard for our customers to do anything.
Right.
So that's it for the currency.
It's been volatile for a while now, isn't it?
Yeah, but it seems to be increasing, and if you look at the underlying reasons for the uncertainty, none of these problems are being solved. The Greek, what's the so-called Grexit, the Greek possible exit from the euro, well, there is no resolution to that uncertainty so far. The problem, it's like very aggressive stance from Russia towards the eastern borders of the EC. Nothing really reduced there, even some talk of increased volatility there because of the talks between the Greek and the Russians. ISIS, Syria, there's basically just no reduction in uncertainty in any of these, and it's even getting quite hard to see how there would be a reduction of uncertainty. So we're just entering a period of political maelstrom, really.
And of course, the general elections are coming up.
And the general election in the UK, which, unless there's a coalition between the Labour Party and the Conservative Party,
that's never going to happen.
Well, you don't know. There'll be another one, because we can't see how there'd be a coalition of less than 2 parties.
Mm-hmm. Well, this election crazy because of US elections, of course, next year too.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. That's right. And of course, when there is an election coming up, people issues which become seized on as a way of generating political capital and getting people to vote for you, just like immigration here, and we have some issues in the US, which I think you'll lead on to now.
Right. So when I say the word California, what do you think of? You think of hope, dreams, Hollywood, jobs, sunshine, beaches. But actually there's a deep, darker problem behind what's happening in California right now related to water. Now, Governor Jerry Brown has recently announced there's going to be a 25% cut in water consumption. I just want to start off by asking you, California is a notoriously dry state.
Well, it's a desert.
It's a desert, and a lot of its water is imported, mainly from the Sierra Nevada watersheds. I just want to ask you a question with relation to almonds. Is it true that almonds use 10% of California's total water?
Well, you can take a lot of numbers and you can add them up this way or that way, and you can make some very large assumptions. It is quite startling how much water is required to produce any kind of food. If you then have to start looking at how much water is required to produce other types of food, like beef or pulses. Pulses are actually quite good, chickpeas, but yeah, it depends how you do your sums. The trouble is the context in which this is all being said. I mean, we've just come from, I would say, a good maybe a couple of decades where environmental concern has manifested itself as a concern about global warming. Drought is happening. Drought is happening, and we've got a presidential election coming up next year. And it's a political hot potato, and it generates a lot of capital. You've got, in California, you've got the Central Valleys where, this is where the grapes of wrath were set, and it's generally speaking quite poor. And the people here have done really well. They've gone and fulfilled the American dream. They've planted almonds in the desert. They're not using that much water. There's allegations now that the almond industry uses 10% of the water. There's a response from the almond industry saying, well, how are you calculating this, etc. It could be as little as 3%. But what you do have here is a desert state, which is now got, I think, something like 35 or 40 million people in it, the 12th largest economy in the world. So you're really driving the limited resources of a desert state to extremes, and then people are going to have to rethink their lives.
Right.
Maybe the guy who has a finely presented front lawn and a fountain might be now categorized as a greedy, showing off type environmental blackguard.
Right. Okay.
And certain foods might become
Sure.
blacklisted.
Sure. Of course, the population is a huge concern for California. They predict that it's going to increase by 14 million people by 2030.
Yeah.
Or already, we're seeing mass migration into the state from
Well, it's
all
a rich
over
place.
America.
It's a good quality of life.
Yeah.
But the thing is, the environmental cost that underpins that, which right now is being measured in terms of water. And the thing is, we're coming up to presidential election. You've got this edict here, which is saying that they have to, and I'm not sure how they'll enforce this. As far as I know, there are no restrictions, apart from ones that already exist, on agriculture. But personal consumption of water, they're going to have to reduce by 25%. So everybody is on a daily basis is going to be thinking, what are we using our water for?
Mm-hmm. So they're going to be more analytical and
well, that's right. And the very people who are interested or who would be having this debate, the environmentalists from the rich coastal cities of LA, San Francisco, San Diego, they are going to have to be reducing the number of times they have a shower. So they're going to be thinking about the others, who are the agriculturalists in the Central Valley, and the politicians will stir this up because there's votes in it for them.
Do you think maybe more people will be becoming more vegetarian, and there'll be more pressure to build reservoirs?
Building reservoirs. The problem is that the water feeds in from the Sierra Nevada.
Yeah.
Building reservoirs means that you need to have a snowpack to fill them with. Now, my understanding is that the weather around here in California is pretty much an 11-year cycle, but we seem to be a year late. So we're at the bottom of that cycle. The snowpack is gone. The reservoirs are empty. It's not a question of building more reservoirs. They're going to have a look at desalination projects. This takes decades for that kind of infrastructure to pay for itself and to sustain itself. And if we are in an 11-year cycle and 2 or 3 years' time, there's loads of water, then they're going to look pretty silly.
Sure.
I think there will be a cultural sort of backlash. You won't be looking like a good citizen if you have a plush lawn. And they're already talking about, like, if you go to Arizona, you see that somebody's garden looks like a desert landscape. They're not pouring heaps of water into there, just because it's the wrong image. People drive past and they think, well, there's a sort of water abuser. right? Why is that guy showing off? You know, the more water he's throwing up into the air, well, I could have a bath in that or whatever, you know. So I think we're going to see a cultural shift, basically.
Right. Okay. That's interesting and somewhat alarming and kind of scary too.
Yeah. I mean, I think you're going to put that on the web page, but obviously vegetarian stuff uses less water because at the end of the day, cows don't eat grass so much as feed stuff. The feed stuff is compounded out of crops that you grow.
Yeah.
So whilst the phrase in the street is takes a gallon of water to make one almond.
Yeah.
Also, it takes something like, I think, 685 gallons to make a cheeseburger. So, of course, when people start sloganizing and it's not really a rational process. If just because you say it takes 685 gallons to make a cheeseburger, it doesn't remove the impact of it takes a gallon of water to make an almond. We have to look behind that kind of bullshit statement to why these things are being said, and I suspect it's because they generate a lot of political capital.
Sure. Okay. So it's an issue which politicians can politically expediently use. Something to exploit.
Yeah.
And of course, general elections next year with the potential.
Everybody's being told to reduce your water by 25%. Then it's on everybody's mind.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm going to have to stop you there. So thank you very much for the interview. Again. We just had an interview with Adam also, our
which is all about too much rain.
Too much rain, so quite the opposite. In Chile, the flash floods. So you can check that out. It's on the website right now. So thank you very much. We'll see you later.